Hi everyone. Today I'd like to actually give you some feedback and some hints and for your assignment. So for your data analysis assignment, last time I was asking you actually to prepare the data for the data analysis one, which was just organizing the data and putting it in the zero normal form. Today, I will give you some hints on how to convert that zero normal form into the first normal form. So let's look at this actually slides, or these slides have been actually posted for you without the narration on Module 4 and under the title Data Analysis PPT. So what we have been doing so far, I was asking you actually to prepare the data for normalization. And the first step of preparing the data for normalization is to identify and to put some notations for those values on data elements. So we identify, as you can see here, we identify that the table name is customer and the data elements of that table are the customer ID, and we identified all the fields here, and we identified also the primary key. So this is an example of a form that you all have selected a form similar to this, an order form. In every order form there should be either a transaction ID or an order ID. If there is no order ID or transaction ID, only customer information and shipping information, then you will have to create an order ID yourself. So this is for the main table, you can say. And then we have repeating values here. We have the repeating section, where for every one bracket you will have more than one item or videos here. So this is what we mean here by the repeating section. Actually, to identify, so any repeating groups, you just put them in parentheses when you put them in the Excel sheet. And I also mentioned that in class that those calculated values, such as the subtotal, tax, and total, those we will use them later, but we will include them for now under the primary table. So this is what we have so far. We have the main or table, we will call it rental form for now, and then we identify the primary key for the main table, which is the transaction ID, and then all the rest of the values inside that form, rental dates and so on. And then we put the repeating values or repeating section values in parentheses by themselves within the main table parentheses, and we underline the primary keys for this repeating group. Now we will see here, we can look at the goal of the original data, or how to organize the data. So we use available documentation. So we document, this is what we said. We talked about the data dictionary or metadata. We are describing and giving some details about each attribute or each field that we are using. And we are identifying if there is any default value, what are the legitimate values that are allowed, whether it's numerical, texts, or any other types of data. And calculated, we mention whether they are calculated values or not, or fields or not. So this is how our first step should look like: organizing the data into only one column here, all of the data elements, organize them in one, put them in one column, and we describe them here under notes. And then for the zero normal form, those are kind of the steps we need to follow. We prepare the data for normalization, and we name the major class described by the attribute. So in your case it is an order form, so you can call it an order table. And then we will delete the items that are not true attributes, such as the headings and titles. We just delete them. We just include the fields that we saw on the form that you have selected so far. And then we subdivided some of the attributes. For example, if we have a field or a section where it says, okay, include the address here, then you will have to break the address down into straight street address 1 and 2, and then city, state, and zip. Each one of them is a field by themselves or an attribute by themselves. Same thing for names. And then we underline the primary key for the class. For the class means for the main table here. We underline it. In that case, it can be order ID or and then purchase order number. So anything that has an ID, if, as I mentioned, if there is no ID, then you create an ID yourself. You can call it an order ID. And we enclose the repeating groups within parentheses, underline its primary key, so also, and then we remove the special characters and spaces from names. So this is very important. We use the camel case naming convention, where we use capital letters to indicate separate words. So this is what we have so far here under the zero normal form. We have no space between the naming of the fields. Customer first name, last name, no, and we capitalize the first letter of each word. We underline the primary key for the main class, which is the order or main table, and we underlined also the primary key for or identifying the field or key for the repeating value, and that was for the first part. The second part, you are asked to convert or to put your data form into the first normal form. And in this case here, the goal of the first normal form is to partition repeating groups. Means there will be only so that everything depends on the primary key. So in this case here, we will separate or partition, or we will put the repeating values into a table by themselves, and we will see also, we will look at the primary key and the relationships between the primary table and the primary or the secondary table, which is the repeating values table. And in this case here, every form, or we can say every transaction or every order, can include many videos, or every person can rent many videos, and every video can be rented by only one customer. So in this case, we have one-to-many relationship, and in this case, since we have a one-to-many relationship, we will include the primary key of the primary table here in the repeating values table. And this is how it should. This answered your questions, and on Friday we will go through the second normal form and third normal form, give you more details about that. All right, I hope that you have this have helped you understand this assignment. All right, thanks. I hope